Negotiations are part of our daily lives. No matter where you go, you'll have to enter a negotiation at some point in your life. Sometimes they involve many people, and sometimes they involve as few as 2 persons. Strangely, animals don't have to negotiate. And even if they do, we'll never know it. But being humans, we often need to reach a conclusion, or agreement, to accomplish a common goal. It might not seem like a big deal, but there are various aspects of negotiation that are often ignored, and that results in conflicts. You might have seen people fighting over different perceptions of the same issue. Why do you think sometimes simple talks turn into people getting frustrated and throwing tables or chairs at each other? Those conflicts occur because people don't spend enough time learning how to negotiate properly. Sadly, proper negotiations are underrated among ordinary people, and learning about it is considered a waste of time and energy. The word negotiation itself gives pain to the tongue and sounds dull, doesn't it? Luckily, in this video, I'll share the top strategies from the book, Getting to Yes, that will teach you how to negotiate properly, avoid conflicts, and thus, become a better negotiator. Alrighty, so without further ado, let's dive right in. Lesson number 1. Avoid mixing people with the problem. Any negotiation has 3 things in common: people, problem, and conclusion. More often than not, people get mixed with the problem on a personal level. When the issue at hand gets mixed with people, the relationship suffers. Imagine you are having a conversation with your boss. But amid the negotiation, you think that your boss is a moron. What if the boss starts feeling the same way about you? What do you think would happen then? Your relationship with your boss will become worse, and the negotiation won't reach its conclusion. That way, both you and the boss will end up in a lose-lose or win-lose situation. When you mix people with the problem, things tend to take a terrible turn. People have different perceptions, and it affects how and what they think during a negotiation. Think of perception as a roadway for negotiation. If both parties' perceptions are in harmony, then negotiation will be more likely to reach a win-win conclusion. And conversely, if both parties' perceptions don't align well, negotiation will suffer. How good would it be if everybody could switch their perceptions just by changing their glasses? Sadly, it doesn't happen in reality. People have their own perceptions. Perception difference is the root of conflict during any negotiation. Always remember that. People have their own emotions and worldviews. Try to avoid conflict as much as possible. Often those emotions skew how people see a certain thing. The first step is to separate people from the problem. Never hurry while having a negotiation. The ideal way is to keep the problem in the center. Your goal must be clear: to solve the problem at hand. There might be other underlying issues as well. That's why understanding these teeny-tiny aspects of such communication is essential. Lesson number 2. Blaming is one of the fastest ways to create conflict. Want to know the recipe for a perfect disastrous negotiation? Tell the other party how wrong they are, and everything wrong that happens in this world is their fault. It's easy to put the blame on someone, isn't it? But it's hard to analyze the situation appropriately. When you show someone their fault, they instantly feel threatened by it and close their mind. This becomes a hindrance to the smooth flowing of ideas between both parties. So be frank during your negotiation. Encourage the other party to put their ideas and interests out in an authentic way. Lesson number 3. Be more detailed while putting out your interests. Most negotiations go wrong due to a lack of clarity of interest of both parties. Instead of using generic sentences, you should prefer using more detailed sentences. For instance, if you're a startup founder and negotiating with an investor, you should give him more context about your idea, like why you started your startup, who is your target audience, etc. Instead of giving generic ideas. Often people get lazy and keep their arguments too short, which creates confusion. Avoid this at all costs. If possible, ask the other side to be more elaborative in their arguments. Most people think that details are unnecessary and eat away time. So they try to rush through the negotiation and try to reach a conclusion as fast as possible. This might help one reach a conclusion faster. but it won't help one find the right conclusion. Logically, it's next to impossible to reach an agreement without cooperating and considering all the arguments. Another advantage of encouraging a cooperative approach is that both sides become comfortable with each other, which further opens room for healthy discussion. Even in the case of formal negotiations, when that happens, the negotiation gets more efficient. A healthy cooperative environment during negotiation acts as a lubricant and reduces friction between both sides. Lesson number 4. Consider the possibility of being wrong. It's so weird that people entirely ignore the possibility of being biased or wrong while making certain statements. Being humans, we tend to think that what we say or think is right. And we couldn't be more wrong. Ego might be one reason why people assume that they are right all the time. This becomes an issue when both sides act the same way. In that case, no conclusion is reached, since no side is considering the possibility of error. This might sound like a small thing, but it affects how negotiations go on. Lesson number 5. Figure out what's in it for the other party. Pretty often, what happens is that one side gets so self-absorbed in achieving gains that it hardly pays any attention to the other side's interest. As a result, the other side loses interest. Any negotiator, before entering into a negotiation, thinks and asks himself, what's in it for me? If there is no gain, then what's the point of tiring negotiation? Right? As a good negotiator, you have to figure out what's in it for both you and the other party, and try to find common ground. If you can figure out clearly what the other negotiator exactly wants, you can improve your chances of success. Lesson number 6. Have a strategy to fall back on. Negotiation is a game of arguments. It's good to encourage ideas from the other party. But at the same time, you must not go in loss. A good strategy protects you from a loss and provides enough gains to both sides. It'd be best if you also consider the possibility of the other side dominating you. You must be ready for the worst-case scenario. For those moments, when you get cornered, the author advises that you should have a bottom line. For example, if you're discussing a deal, you must set the lowest or the highest possible rate in your mind right from the start. In case you get cornered by the other party, you should use all the options to make sure that you don't get below the lowest rate. Remember that an ideal conclusion includes some form of gain for both sides. Now you tell me, which strategies do you use during negotiations? And what are your biggest takeaways from this video? Leave a comment below and let me know. I highly encourage you purchase this book and read to learn even more. I've put the link in the description below. And if you are new to this channel, don't forget to smash that like and subscribe button, and also press the bell icon, so that you don't miss any future videos. Thank you for watching.